So we have Bethany with us, and she's going to speak about Azure Cognitive Services. And I guess in this era of ChatGPT, it's going to be pretty relevant topic. And we are so much awaiting to see what Azure Cognitive Services can offer us. Hey, Bethany, it's really nice to meet you. It's really nice to have you here. I'll
Hi.
give you a moment to introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Bethany Jepchumba. I work at Microsoft as a cloud advocate. Yeah.
It's nice to meet you, Bethany. And by the way, I think you haven't shared your screen yet, or you did already?
Not yet. Not done.
Cool. Okay, Bethany. So the stage is yours, and we are waiting to hear some amazing stuff about Azure Cognitive Services.
Sure. So my topic today is about Azure Cognitive Services, and I was wondering what exactly to do in terms of the demo. So I was looking for data and found an interesting data set that helps you find different fruits, and I was like, okay, let me use this to do a demo to show what exactly Azure Cognitive Services can do. So I'll be doing a demo at the end, but for now, I've already introduced myself. I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I'll just go right into what we are covering today. I'll do a bit of background on image classification because that's the main demo I'm going to do, give you a bit of background on what exactly is image classifications, and then get started with Azure, get you started with the different Azure Cognitive Services, and finally do the demo before I conclude. So, as I mentioned, the first thing is ensuring we first understand the basis of image classification, and then how does now Azure come in to solve this. So image classification is when you're trying to predict whether something belongs to one class or the other. So if you have different flowers, how do you distinguish that this is a tulip, this is a rose, or in the example I've listed, how do you determine which iris class is it? So is it acetosa, is it vascular? And then you also have to determine, once you determine which classification it belongs to, that's what you will give us the output. So that's basically about classification in terms of classification in a normal classification criteria that you have. The second one is around image classification. With image classification, since these are images, you will need to work with things such as pixels, which you can be able to determine. You can be able to determine which class this object belongs to from a photograph. So that's from the photographic view. And from the example here, you're trying to determine fruits belong to which group. So is it a banana, is it an apple, or is it an orange? Places you can use image classification include things like being able to identify different products. So is this person selling shoes? Is this person selling clothes? What are they selling? And then being able to help you now visual searches. The other thing is being able to identify things like disasters. So with disasters, you're able to identify if there's something amiss in a place. So for example, if you've been observing different roads and an accident occurs in one of the roads, you'll be able to notice like there's more traffic on that road, and then you can also understand what exactly happened, and then from there go ahead and offer relief to the people who have been stricken by the disasters. The last one in my examples is in medicine. So for example, if you want to diagnose someone using different x-ray and MRI devices, you can quickly classify them, whether this X-ray shows this person is ill or this X-ray shows this person is healthy. And with Azure, as I bet majority of you know is Microsoft Cloud's computing service, and it helps you with things like building, deploying, and managing your applications. But then, as you build your applications, you might not have the bandwidth to train a model on your own, or to be able to have the resources that you can be able to deploy and be able to have all these resources Microsoft has to train your models. So the easiest route is using Azure Cognitive Services. These are already pre-built APIs, and you can add them to your applications regardless the language, since it's an API. And you don't even have to understand what's happening in the background. So just go ahead, build this, use these APIs, consume them, and build whichever applications you want to build. So today I'll be focusing on one specific custom cognitive service, which is custom vision. And custom vision helps you in being able to do things like image classification. So it has all these um, resources that you can be able to use to determine which class for example, in my example, it's fruits, which class your fruits belong to, and then being able to give you the outcome. So this custom vision service is already a pre-trained model, but you can, as it says in the name, you can customize the service. So with cognitive services, you get all these services that you may need. So in case you want things like computer vision, you already have the pre-built models. You just consume the API. But then if you want to customize your computer vision model, you'll need to use Custom Vision Studio. So the next bit is what resources do you now use in image classification? So you can use a custom vision service, as I've mentioned, which helps you in both training and prediction. So you can just use the prediction model. If it's something like trying to predict landmarks, you can just go ahead and predict because it's already trained on landmarks. But it's not trained in terms of identifying like different fruits or classifying different species and so on. So you'll have to train your model. The other one is cognitive services, which you generally you don't have to do all the work of training and prediction. You just have to consume the API and that's it. And the last bit before I go to the demo is understanding how do you now ensure that whatever you're building is actually accurate and it actually makes sense to your service. So are you sure that the custom model you build is really accurate? It gives you the accuracy that you need. So there are three different measures that we use when you're trying to test your model. The first one is precision. Precision is identifying your model's ability to actually correctly identify the positive instances. So, for example, how many number of true positives did your model return versus the false positives? So, if it has a high precision, that means it has a high nature of identifying the positives. In this case, it just says, for example, if I'm training my model to identify if this is a banana or not, if it identifies this is a banana in 10 images, and in one image it identifies this is not a banana, that means the precision is high. In recall means is when your model is trying to find all the positive instances. So like what are the number of true positives divided by the true positives plus the false negatives. Precision, you're just trying to identify like the number of true positives versus false. But recall is now trying to identify what is the model's ability to find all the right positives. So high recall means your model has a low rate of false negatives. That means it just doesn't miss as many positive instances as it shouldn't. And then the last one is average precision. This is now a metric that takes into consideration different thresholds. So it's calculated under a precision and recall value. So you have to try and understand how high is the precision, how high is the recall, and then trying to find the overall metric to cover all this. So that's average precision. And then once you train your model, once your model is good to go, you will get these four different values. And these values will now help you when you're trying to call your API. So for example, the prediction endpoint gives you now the resources to which you should publish the model. And then the prediction key gives you now the how you want to authenticate your model. Okay, so let's go to the demo. I hope if there's any questions so far, you can just raise them before I go to the demo. Okay, so here's the demo. The first thing I did was identifying a data set that contains fruits and vegetables. So this is the data set I identified, and let me just drop the link on the chat. With this model, you can be able to with this data, you can be able to now, with this data, you have the different resources that you need to train your model. So this is the first one, the first place that you should look into, being able to find the data. It has a lot of images. We don't need this much. We only need at least 15 to 30 images per data point or per class, so that you can be able to train your model. The more the images you use, the better your model performs. Okay, so this is the Microsoft Azure platform. Let me zoom in a bit. And with Microsoft Azure, the first thing you do is creating the resource. And before I go to create the custom vision, probably I can take you through the different cognitive services. So you can create one cognitive services for everything that you need. You can use it, it's a multi-purpose one, but then there's those that are specific to different fields. So for example, for speech, it helps you translate text to speech or speech to text. For language, it helps you do things like sentiment analysis and so on. Computer vision helps you identify images, helps you in object detection, partial analysis, and so on. Translator helps you now translating between different languages. Q&A maker helps you when you're trying to figure out how to make a bot and then have the bot ask questions, answer, repeat, and so on. Language understanding is similar to language service, so it does almost the same thing, helping you understand your language, give you things like sentiment analysis, and so on. Form recognizer is one that helps you identify the different fields in forms, and then custom vision is the one we're using today. So for example, let me just do a simple illustration on like how the translator works. So if I create a translator resource, give me a second. I don't want to create a new translator, but let me just create so that I can show you an example. So if I create a new translator app, new translator service, so let me call it demo translator. And it's a free service, review and create, and then after it runs the validation, I go ahead and create it. So I'll show you a demo on how, once this service is deployed, how the translation service works. Okay, it's done. So let me go to the resource. And you can see, for example, here it helps you try and see the examples of how your code will work. So for example, if I want to auto-detect the language and I want to type the quick brown box and check if it's translated. Okay, there's an issue with networking. Let me see if it can translate. Again, still, I'm wondering why. Anyway, so since if I try and troubleshoot, it will take a long while. So for example, you can try the demo. So when you're setting it up, ensure virtual network is disabled. So I didn't disable it when I set it up, so that's an error on my end. But it gives you also sample code you can use if you want to use it. For example, in C#, this is the code, and you can be able to just copy paste and see how it works in your own application. And then in case you need more information on different languages, you need to look at more documentation and so on. All the resources will be under the resource that you just created. Okay, so let's go to the demo of the day. So my demo will be creating a custom vision application. So the first thing, I'll go to create a resource and then go to the resource name that I want and go ahead and create. Once clicked on create, you look at the options. So I want to create both a prediction and a training model because I want to pre-train it. And then you choose a subscription. You can create a new resource group or choose an existing resource group. So this is my demo resource group. And then for region, you choose the one closest to you. So for me, it's West Europe. And then you give your demo a name. So fruits detector. I think I can give it that. Demo. Yeah. And then you choose the pricing tier. So I'll advise to go for the free tier or one that's a bit less costly. So I already have a free tier in use, so I can't use that. So I'll use the 10K transactions per month for the prediction, and then for the training, I'll use the 10 transactions per second. Then I go ahead and create the resource. You don't have to do anything else. So once the validation is passed, just go ahead and create a resource. It will take a few seconds for the resource to deploy. And then while it's deploying, you can just wait for it to deploy, and then I'll go to the next bit. Okay, so I'll go to the resource group and it will show me I've successfully created my resource. It has different resources inside. And yeah, that's it. That's generally all you need to do on Azure. The next step is to go to the Custom Vision website. So customvision.ai. Once you are on customvision.ai. You can go ahead and create a new project. And for the project name, you can do something like fruits detector demo, and then for the description, detect fruits. Then for the detector, you can use the resource you just created. Give sorry for that. And then go ahead and create the project. Once you're in the project, the next thing you do is look at the data you just downloaded. So the data is already on Kaggle. So add those data from that inside your project. So this is the data I downloaded, and it has very many fruits, over 9,000 fruits. So I just want to detect apples, oranges, and bananas. So I'll go on a training and look for, it's arranged alphabetically. So the first one I can look for is apple. So I want to see how the images look like. So you can see all of them are the same thing. They're just individual fruits on individual apples. So I can select just a couple of them, open, and then give them the label apple, and then upload the files. And then the other thing I want to train them on is bananas. So I come add images and then go back to training and look for bananas. So bananas, let's see how they look like. So you can select also a few, go ahead and open, tag them as bananas, and then upload the files. And then the last one I want to test is oranges. So go back to add images, go to training, look for oranges, orange, yeah. And then look at them. They still all look the same. Yeah, there's not much of a difference. But I think the only thing I wanted to note is the different, how it looks front and back. So I'll select those, go ahead and open, label them as orange, upload the files, and then once done, I go ahead and you can see I've uploaded all the different fruits. And that's oranges, bananas, and apples. But then you can see the format I've uploaded the fruits, it's just single fruits. So probably to add like more flesh to my data, I can look for another data set with things like a bunch of bananas, different apples in one place, and so on, and train on them. So once I've selected the different images, I go ahead and train them. I can do advanced training for almost an hour or more to get in-depth training, but since this is just a demo, a quick demo, I'll train them using the quick training option. And it will take a while to train. So you have like 4 minutes left. So because of the time, I'll go back to custom AI, custom vision.ai, and look for a project I just did earlier on and show you the predictions. So with this, it's the same thing. I did the same thing. So once the project started training, I did both quick training and advanced. These are the apples and so on, apples. And then this one I didn't train with oranges, I just trained apples, cherries, and bananas. So I'll go to the performance and you can see the performance is really good. It's telling me 100% in everything. And then for predictions, I can come and try a quick test. So what I normally do is look for a random image on the internet. So probably banana one, and then look for images. Look for one banana and try and see if the model that I created actually works. Then I save the banana, come back to the project, and then browse. You can add the image URL if you like. So instead of having the files downloaded to your PC, you can just add them using a URL. So I'll go to downloads and upload the banana. And then let's see what it's telling me. It's 94% sure it's a banana, 3% sure it's cherry, 1% sure it's an apple. So this means majority thinks it's a banana. But then let's try something else. So let me try and search for an apple. And instead of uploading just one apple, let me upload something like this. One that has different apples in one image. So let me see if the image link will work. So Control V. Yeah, what's telling me? It's telling me it's 99% sure it's an apple. And then we can also do one last one for a cherry. And see how the performance is. Can select this one. Oh, apparently I just downloaded it. So come back here, browse local files, and then upload the cherry bunch. So let's see, 90% sure it's a cherry. So this means our model is actually good. So you can go ahead and do the same for this model that you just created. Go ahead and test how good it is, do the precision, recall, and so on. Okay, so I think I'll conclude my presentation with one last thing. So once you are able to finalize on the project, it's a very good idea to, in case you're just using it as a demo like me, it's a very good idea to delete the resources because they can easily deplete your credits. But if it's something you're going to build into your application for the longest time, probably it's something you may not want to do. And then that's it for my presentation. Using this custom vision service, it really simplifies the process of creating a custom image and deploying all the AI solutions. So you don't actually even need to be very good with Azure or very good with AI. You can just go ahead, deploy a resource, and use an end-to-end and deploy an end-to-end model. The last thing I'll end with is when I was being introduced, someone mentioned about ChatGPT, and while I was doing research for this session, I decided to ask ChatGPT, what can you do with cognitive services? Like, what are the different different things you can achieve with Azure Cognitive Services? So it told me the first thing is, especially for custom vision, is things like automatic quality control for manufacturing. So how do you ensure that when you're building products, that those that with defects, scratches, dents are easily seen? Then the next one was identifying different types of animals: cats, dogs, lions, etc. Identifying different types of vehicles, different types of flowers. It also gave me some more wider types of ideas, like creating a classifier for security, for retail, for medical imaging, and so on. So probably those are ideas you can implement in your next project. Try and see if you can be able to use to create an app that probably detects different animals, or an app that helps you identify the type of vehicle. I guess that's it from my end. I'll give it back to the host.
Hey Bethany, thank you so much for the demo. It was really cool to see what Azure can offer. Thanks for spending time to prepare and also having time with us.
Yeah.
One question that I would like to ask. So there was like a default version of computer vision, and there was also the custom version.
Yeah.
So what are some of the standard tasks that the default can solve, and what are the use cases where you cannot use the default one and you will have to train your own model?
So for the default, you can use it in very many things. So things like identifying if there are people in an image, identifying different landmarks. So landmarks like ooh, there are very many landmarks, but they're not coming to my brain at the moment. So landmarks, identifying things like famous people, people like Barack Obama. If you want to identify who that person is, you can use that. You can also use in identifying popular brands. You can use it in identifying colors, so detecting the main colors in an image, if an image is black and white, and so on. You can also use it to tag an image. So, for example, you have an image with a building and you want to check what is in this image. The other one you can use it is optical character recognition, that's trying to read text and so on. The only thing that you, the only reason you need to build a custom model is if you want to customize it to your own project or to your own business. So, for example, for this, you can't really, it can't really help you detect the different types of fruits. It can detect food, but not fruits. So that's one example you can use when you're trying to customize. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It makes sense. So there is a lot of things that it can do out of the box, and it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Cool, Bethany. Again, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day, and hope to see you soon again.